Hi everybody, Mrs. Heisey here. Well, today's the day you finally get to start your lamp. If you are ready to start, you should have a couple things. One, your 4 thumbnail sketches signed off by the instructor. Then you need to have all of your paper patterns cut out to the exact size that you want them to be. You will need to have your bill of material completed and graded by the instructor as well. So then, if you look at your directions, we start down to constructing the lamp using the following steps. The first thing we want to do is start to cut out our upright. Our direction says, using a cross-cut handsaw, cut 2 uprights to 12 1/4 of an inch. Now we've talked about this in class, and I know you think that your upright's going to be 11 1/4, but we always want to give ourselves 1 inch when we're cutting in case we make a mistake or don't quite cut straight. So I need to measure out, you'll actually bring up your materials to me, your patterns and your bill of material will get you the lumber that you need, and then I will hand this to you. You need to measure out twice, 2 of them that are going to be 12 1/4. So you're simply going to grab a tape measure, all right? From one end, measure down 12 1/4 and make a mark, all right? Once I have that done, I'm gonna use another tool. This right here is called a square. Our square is gonna get us a nice straight line so I know exactly where I would like to follow with my saw. So I'm gonna place this on the edge right here and have it go across my green pattern, and I'm going to draw my line. Now you guys are going to use a marker. I use pen so you can see, you're going to use a pencil. I used a pen so you can go ahead and see a little bit, hopefully on the camera, where my line is. Once I have that done, I'm going to go ahead, and you can measure a second one right away if you would like to. For time's sake, I'm just going to cut one piece, and I already have some others cut. I'm going to place this inside of the vise. When I do, I want it to stick out about 2 inches, an inch or 2 beyond the table. I don't want it way out here because as I cut, it'll bend the wood. So I'm going to have it right on the edge of my table, and I'm going to use a cross-cut saw. That's this one right here. The reason that this is called a cross-cut handsaw, 1, we're holding it by our hand, obviously. 2, if you take a look at the teeth of on the blade here, they are crisscross, all right? You need to make sure you have your safety glasses as well, and if you are a girl or a person with a long hair, you want to make sure that you put your hair back, all right? To start out, I just simply have both of my hands. I want to keep my fingers out of the way of the blade, and I'm just going to pull back and get a good groove going, and then just cut back and forth, following your line. Now, if you're not exactly on your line, it's okay. We added that extra inch. When you get down to the end, you're going to want to hold the piece and just cut all the way through. Now, you're going to repeat this a second time, okay? So you should have 2 pieces cut out. Well, I went ahead and already cut out my 2 pieces to the 12 1/4 of an inch. Now, if it's not exactly 12 1/4, it's a little bit less or a little bit more, that's okay. At this point, these are our rough cuts. They're not our finished style. You do not want to go ahead and put your pattern on here quite yet. If you look at your next step, it tells you, it says, give your uprights to the teacher to cut a groove down the center. A very important step. Remember, we're going to have a pipe that's going through our center on here, so we need to put a groove to help us guide the pipe. So at this point, I am going to take my upright design, okay? I am going to fold it in half, all right? Now, mine is symmetrical, so they're exactly the same. So I would like the pipe to go right down the middle. Now, if you have like a letter P, it might be kind of hard to see on here. If you have a letter P, you don't want your pipe to be going down the center. You're going to be wanting to go down the edge, all right? So you're going to need to figure out by placing your pattern onto one of your pieces that you cut. You just simply place it on there. Now notice there's going to be a lot of room on the edges and on the ends, okay? And you figure out exactly where you would like that groove to go. And then you're just going to take a pencil and make a little mark. So I wanted mine in the center. I have it right here. Now if I had the letter P, I would go ahead and, I would want it somewhere along this side. Now once you have it marked where you want it, you're going to need to get a ruler, and from the good edge, you'll notice one side is not good, the other side is. From your good edge, measure over to where that mark is. So you're just going to grab a ruler, measure over, and mine is 2 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to put 2 1/8 of an inch. And at this point, I only need to do it to one piece, okay? So I have 2 1/8 of an inch. Bring it to me. I will then put it on the table saw and make a groove going down the center. Now, magic of technology, ta-da, I already have the grooves going down the center. All right, I prepared ahead of time. So the next step, if you look at your directions, it tells you, it says glue your uprights together. Make sure no excessive glue gets into the channels. Okay, these are called our channels, the little grooves that we put in there. And we want to make sure that everything lines up. So our channels are going to line up. Now if my channels line up, that's great. If my edges or my ends don't line up, it is totally okay. Here's an example of one. Look at it doesn't line up here, my edge doesn't line up over here. That is totally okay. You don't need to right now because later on we will come in and we'll fix that. We'll cut it to the exact size that we want. All right? So I'm going to simply, we have a gluing station for this over in the back of the classroom, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to do it at this table. I don't want to get glue on the table, so I came prepared and I brought some newspaper. And I'm simply going to take my 2 pieces and I'm going to, before I even glue them together, figure out which way they're going to glue the best. Now, I have 2 good sides, 2 good edges, and I have 2 rough ones. I want my good edges to line up because then I know exactly my channels will line up. Now, if I have it the other way, like this, notice my edge doesn't line up. It's okay if it doesn't, but we want to make sure that our channels line up. So easiest way to do that is put the 2 good edges together. I'm going to grab some wood glue that I have right here. I'm going to take the wood glue. You just need to spread it on one piece. Make sure you get both sides, but don't let it go down the channel. Make sure you take your finger, smear it around a little bit so we know we're going to have a good hold on our lamp, or on the upright for our lamp. Okay. Now excess glue, wipe it on a paper towel back there. Right now I'm just going to use the newspaper. I'm then going to take my other piece, I'm going to set it right down on here, lining up my 2 good edges. I'll get the newspaper out of the way, we'll get the saw and all these other things out of the way so you can see how I'm going to clamp it together. Okay, I have 2 wooden vices. Right here we got some clamps. Now what we need to do is we need to start out by having our 2 pieces right here parallel with each other. Okay, so I find it easiest if I lay it on the table and I open them up and make them parallel. There's 2 handles, so sometimes you have to turn one and not the other. All right, so I'm going to get these started. Take my upright and I'm going to place it inside of there. I'm going to close these just until they start to touch the edge, and then I lift it up and I'm going to twist it in opposite directions, making sure my channel still lines up. I want my edges on both sides of the vise to be touching the entire wood. Otherwise, sometimes the wood might expand if you only have it pinched at one side. All right? If that's the case, come see me and ask for some help. All right? I'm going to do the same exact thing with the other side. Lift it up, tighten it up. Now, I did this one on purpose. If you see, it's touching down here, but it's not over here. I'm not going to get a good clamp right there, so I'm going to redo that one. Take it off, line them up so they're parallel. Start to close them just until they touch, then lift it up and tighten it. Voila, this is what our upright's going to look like to be glued. Here's the deal. There are about 100 and some other students that are making the same exact project, all right? Granted, their upright's going to look different, but right now it all looks the same because we haven't cut out our patterns. So you need to either grab a marker or a pen. You don't want to use pencil because that can be erased and other people can take yours. So grab something, write your name, big and bold, on the side, on the edge, or the ends. You don't want to write it on the face. You want to write your name and your hour. All right? So everybody knows whose piece of material this is. At the end of the day, I'm going to be taking the clamps off so the next class can be using them, all right, for the next day. Your piece will already be dry, but if you don't have your name on it, nobody's going to know whose it is. So at this point, we need to let this dry overnight. If you have any questions, make sure you come and see me and ask. Thanks.